I hate the idea that a big chunk of his views are iPad kids glued to the long yapping and quick cuts. Yeah, that makes it all the more sinister that the thumbnail and the title of this one is what it is, because that's got to be an explanation for what their views are.
I mean, what if his love for cash ran so deep, so bizarre, that it crossed into the realm of a fetish?
Oh my god.
All greed is driven by the perks, luxury, power, and the—
Oh, holy AI. Can I say something? So this video's old. This is like a year old. I hate to say it. I'm feeling a little nostalgic. What if SpongeBob was an alcoholic? I'm just too curious. It just seems similar to these other ones.
He's become an alcoholic to fill the void. But it wasn't always like this. You have seen—
It wasn't always like this. It's never been like that, dude.
You would expect that Patrick would try to help his friend realize that alcohol isn't the solution. However,
I can't believe this is a video. I can't believe this is a video.
This was the next night he drank again.
My God, who watches this? It's got to be kids, right? This has got to be a kids thing, right? Kids watching something edgy. How are we all doing today? You were probably doing a lot better today before I showed you these thumbnails from our old pal SpongeTruth's. I gotta give credit where credit's due. I would not be covering this if it wasn't for Ave. We love Ave on this channel. Honestly, been a big help in having me like identify AI stuff. Like not even so much identify, like because you can tell it's AI when you watch it, but like just helping me be aware of it. And Ave's video yesterday was about bad AI thumbnails. Great video, by the way. You should go watch it. And one of them was this new child thumbnail. He didn't talk about the video itself. And I get why he didn't. He was talking about thumbnails. Like the video wasn't about this video. So like, I get why he didn't talk about it. But I was like, I gotta see this video. And I don't want to just watch it like on my free time. So I decided to torture all of you with this video, with this what if SpongeBob became a father and weird kink. Like, quick recap if you've never seen SpongeTruths. SpongeTruths is an AI SpongeBob channel. They use AI to write their scripts. They're just awful. You know, let's just, you know, it speaks for itself. Let's just get into it.
What if SpongeBob and Sandy ended up with a sponge-squirrel hybrid?
That doesn't sound like SpongeTruths to me. Here's a more recent SpongeTruths.
For one, this is a Nickelodeon kids show.
So that's SpongeTruths now, and this is SpongeTruths then. This video is like over a year old. February 10th, 2025. So about exactly a year old.
What if SpongeBob and Sandy ended up with a sponge-squirrel hybrid?
Completely different voice. We all know this, though. This is commonly known about SpongeTruths, that it's a different voice like a year ago. Because it's an AI voice, so it's like they just used a better AI voice later on. So AI just wasn't as advanced at this point.
It named Spandy. Forget science.
Named Spandy. I guess it's not like a horrible premise. Like, you know, like AI aside, like let's just say like a normal channel did this premise. Obviously the thumbnail's really kind of creepy. Who names their kids after the ship name? Yeah, it's a little uninspired. I don't know, it almost feels like a fan fiction. I guess that's not a completely invalid kind of way of making a video if you weren't using AI, that is. Oh, this is also a difference with SpongeTruths. They put in their modern videos, they usually just put the guy, like they usually just put the guy holding the drink. But in this one, they were putting it on a stock photo of a guy with his arms folded. Looks kind of sloppy. Looks a little worse. Like, I feel like you could have done this better. I feel like if you gave me the opportunity in Photoshop, I could probably do this better. Like, I could like take out his head and I could put the SpongeTruths guy in it, but then it wouldn't really read. I guess just using the guy would be better if that's like your persona.
When a sponge and a squirrel really care about each other, you know how it goes.
I like how they're like dancing around and they're like, like we don't want to say what happened yet. Like we all saw the thumbnail. Should we ban AI? We should ban generative AI. My position is that things that generate text, images, video, human-sounding voices, and music should not be allowed. The mechanism in which computers can search for information and give you information is very good and could be real world-changing technology, but the fact that that technology is being used to ruin the arts is a net negative. So the things that go and find all of the information, basically my position is that what we know as AI should not be able to write you a script, but it should be able to give you all of the sentences that it would have stolen to write that script and give you those sentences instantaneously. It should basically be like a Google search, but like a really advanced one, where instead of taking you to a page, it gives you the exact sentence that you're like looking for based on the computer being able to understand that. That would be life-changing technology. There is nothing that you can do that generates those 5 things I said earlier that is not a net negative for humanity. Like, you can argue that you get like mediocre entertainment out of it, and that's like about it. You get worse entertainment. But if you even look at it like that, you know, that's at the cost of the arts itself. Human intent in the arts is destroyed by people not making it, and AI will make it so much that it will like mess up people's ability to make it themselves. It's what people always say, where they say like AI can be used to like detect cancer, and they use it to like defend this, even though like the AI that would detect cancer can exist without this existing, so it's not really an argument in favor of this.
I especially wonder if the residents of Bikini Bottom will accept this hybrid baby for who and...
Okay, so something that SpongeTruth's does is they try to make something a big deal when it isn't. It's a sensationalist kind of channel. So what this is doing is it brings up this premise of there's a SpongeBob Sandy baby, and it asks a bunch of questions.
Identity crisis. Priorities are shifting, and deep down, he's battling something way more complicated.
So it's saying SpongeBob would have an inner conflict if he had a baby. But like, that's true about anyone. And like, SpongeBob doesn't have a baby in the show. Like, that doesn't really say much about like his character. Now, maybe it will, but I do think that's like a bit of a weird thing. Like, SpongeTruth's, or the AI that SpongeTruth's asked to write a video, manufactured this idea of what if SpongeBob had a baby, and now it's saying, oh, he's battling these inner demons. Like, this all kind of comes from nowhere. Again, it's just kind of like a fan fiction at that point, which like, that's not like bad, but like, if you're just like writing a fan fiction like for yourself, like I guess that's fine or whatever. But like, if you're actually trying to present something to a mass audience like this is, it's going to have to dig pretty deep into like, what is that idea? And like, let's see.
But how does the Krusty Krab even fit into this chaotic...
How does the Krusty Krab even fit into this? Like, is that a real question? Like, if SpongeBob had a kid, like, would he... I mean, I guess he'd probably still work there because he'd need money. Or I guess we'll see.
New world. So Spandy could navigate both the underwater world and dry land with ease. Bob's
kind of dull,
personality,
to be honest. This is kind of dull. It's just saying if it was a fish hybrid, it would be able to live on both land. Yeah, but like, you made it up, bro. Like, you even said like, forget about science, forget about this, and then you're like, yeah, I would like live on dry land or whatever.
Team brilliant, where they should live and raise Spandy. But the arrangement quickly proved challenging. Sandy's scientific...
Wait, what is this? The arrangement quickly proved challenging. Is this just like saying is this just a fan fiction? Is that all this is?
Equipment didn't fit well in the small, cozy space, and the constant flow of water made it difficult to maintain her land-based experiment.
Wait, this is like just telling a story. This is like just like making up... this is just a fan fiction.
With her fluffy tail getting soggy and heavy, leaving them frustrated.
This is just boring, bro. The thumbnail was so like edgy. It's just saying like, these are some really generic challenges.
With her fluffy tail getting soggy and heavy.
With their fluffy tail getting soggy and heavy. What do you mean? Sandy's tail is outside of her suit. She's never had any problems with that. Why would that be a problem with this? Like, it's just like manufacturing. See, this is what I was talking about, that it manufactures a conflict or manufacture something sensationalist. Oh, this would be so bad because of this, but because it's AI and the person behind SpongeTruth's does not understand the show. They've never seen the show. They don't know anything about SpongeBob. So like, the AI just spits out like, what would be some problems if SpongeBob and Sandy had a kid? And it'd be like, their like tail gets soggy or whatever. Cause the AI doesn't really understand that like Sandy always has her tail out in every episode. So like that immediate contradiction is not clear to the AI, and it's not clear to SpongeTruths because they never watched the show, so they just throw at it. Did they steal a fan fiction for this since AI can't have original thought? Most likely. I'm not gonna like look for some fan fiction. That sounds really likely.
After a few mishaps, including Sandy accidentally flooding the pineapple while installing an air system for Spandy, it became clear that
What? Oh, these are just like really random details. These are just like saying things that like could happen, as if they like wrote an episode about if SpongeBob and Sandy had a baby. Flooded the pineapple trying to do an air system. Wouldn't it just...
with hopeful hearts, they decided to try living in Sandy's tree dome instead. And Patrick, roaming through the empty pineapple, was...
Look at this background they used. They couldn't even find a good image of SpongeBob's living room. It's from like some episode. I don't know what episode this is from, but look, SpongeBob's on the wall. Wait, he's there. Why would you use this background? The whole point is what you're trying to say is that Patrick is roaming around SpongeBob's house with SpongeBob not being there and he's sad. But you used an image that has SpongeBob in it on the wall. The whole point is he's not supposed to be there. So lazy, man. So lazy. Also, Patrick knows where the tree dome is. So, like, if SpongeBob lived at the tree dome, wouldn't Patrick just go and visit him there?
SpongeBob, however, was thrilled to start this new chapter with his family.
Why are they using the interior of the plane from plane to sea? Does it think that this is the inside of Sandy's tree dome? It thinks that this is the inside of Sandy's tree dome. That's what this is.
He found himself longing for the carefree days of living in his pineapple under the sea.
So you're kind of getting that from nowhere. Like, I feel like this is just a generic things that are hard about like being a parent, but just saying it's SpongeBob to get people to click on it because they know SpongeBob.
He created a cozy corner of the tree dome.
Dude, this isn't the tree dome. There's like coffee there. That's so funny that it thinks this is the tree dome.
Filling it with familiar items from his pineapple, his trusty alarm clock, Gary's food bowl, and Gary, and even a framed picture of himself and Patrick from one of their many misadventures.
That's just random stuff. He moved in and he brought these things. Like, okay.
Sandy's scientific approach to raising their child.
So this was 4 minutes, 15 seconds in. So like, I guess at least, so it hasn't referenced an episode yet. I feel like if you were going to, okay, so like SpongeTruth's is kind of framed as like a discussion channel, like it discusses the show itself. I feel like if you wanted to do a video like this and you were a channel like SpongeTruth's, what you would probably want to do is cite episodes that say how SpongeBob would feel in this situation because of how we see him in this episode. Like it said earlier, SpongeBob longed for the carefree days of living in his pineapple, but it didn't really cite any like evidence from the show as to why that would be the case. Like, why would SpongeBob feel that way? You know, it could cite episodes from the show, and it wouldn't really be that hard. You could just cite episodes where him and Patrick are like having a good time or whatever, and just be like, yeah, he likes hanging out with Patrick. Maybe that would be hard if you had a kid. But you can even hear right now how much of like a stretch that is. And I think the reason that that's such a stretch is that the show and the way that its characters exist is just not really designed for that kind of drama. Like that whole idea of like the struggles of like raising a kid. First of all, SpongeBob already did approach that with Rockabye Bivalve. I think Rockabye Bivalve is a great example of how SpongeBob actually would approach this topic and how this video gets it so incorrect. Because in Rockabye Bivalve, first of all, they don't have it be SpongeBob and Sandy. They have it be SpongeBob and Patrick. And this accomplishes a few things by having it be SpongeBob and Patrick. One, it does kind of normalize the idea of two guys raising a kid in a kid's show. In a way that you probably couldn't have gotten away with otherwise during the time, which I think is pretty awesome. I don't know if that was intentional, if they just like thought it would be like funny, but that definitely helped with my positive perception of same-sex couples because of that episode. Like genuinely, when I started to learn about that concept as I got older, I was like normalized for me. But I think the main reason that they made SpongeBob and Patrick the parents in Rockabye Bivalve is because by having it be that they're usually best friends and they're pretending to be parents, they're playing at being parents, even though the thing that they're the parent of is an actual living thing, which gives more stakes to the episode. by having them play it being parents, it makes it like this is just for this one episode. It makes sense at the end of the episode when the clam flies away that we can return to the status quo. And it allows us to explore the characterization of how these characters would react to being parents in a way that is still funny, in a way that is still light, and in a way that doesn't disrupt the status quo. If SpongeBob and Sandy had like a permanent biological kid, that would completely shake up the show forever. Another episode that kind of did something similar is Karen and Plankton had a kid. They had a kid who was like a calculator, but because the kid was a computer, he grew up throughout the episode. He aged faster. So by the end of the episode, he was like already going to college. So they were able to have it be that now Plankton and Karen like canonically have a kid, and they explored that with the characters, but they didn't have it shake up the status quo as much. Those are two episodes that actually talk about this concept. Episode is called Karen's Baby. It was kind of good. Yeah, I actually liked it. I did enjoy it. I actually watched it for my Is Karen AI video, but it turned out to not really be relevant to the subject, so I didn't end up actually using it. What this is doing is it's taking the concept of SpongeBob and Sandy having a baby, and it's not applying how SpongeBob the show would actually address that. First of all, how SpongeBob the show would actually address that is they would never do it because it would shake up the status quo of the show too much. But it's trying to go into all these like deep things to kind of manufacture drama, and it's just not landing.
While Sandy relied on charts, schedules, and data to monitor Spandy's development, SpongeBob's instincts leaned toward fun and creativity. This difference in parenting styles occasionally led to tension between them. Sandy might
Look of typo. Detention. Wait. It led to detention between them. It meant to say tension between them, but they put in detention between them. So the editor must have heard it as detention between them. Who's Spandy? It's the fake name for the SpongeBob and Sandy kid. Hey, if you're going to do like a fan fiction, why not give the kid a more interesting name? Like, I think the idea of saying Spandy would be like, if you say like, they had a kid, it's named Spandy, that would be like hypothetical. But if you're doing like a fan fiction, you should give the kid like an interesting name. Why would it lead to tension between them anyway? Sandy loves having fun. That's a literal aspect of her character. That is so true. That is so true. So it's saying that
SpongeBob feeling inadequate, while Sandy relied on charts, schedules, and data to monitor Spandy's development.
Yeah, it's saying that Sandy's gonna use so many charts and data to monitor development, which like I guess she would, like it is in line with her character. But the idea that that would be a conflict between her and SpongeBob is incorrect. That is incorrect. Like the whole thing about SpongeBob and Sandy is that they usually really get along, especially in that regard, with having fun and creativity. Sandy wouldn't be against that. But because the AI video is trying to manufacture a conflict, or maybe it was stolen from a fan fiction that was also manufacturing conflict but getting it incorrect. If this is based off of someone's fan fiction that they didn't mean to take too seriously, that they were just like, like fan fictions aren't always supposed to be taken super seriously. So if this is stolen from some fan fiction that like some person just like kind of was like, whatever, I put it out there. No hate on that person. But if you're SpongeTruths, if you're a serious YouTube channel trying to get lots of views and one of your videos is basically just a glorified fan fiction, it should be more correct than that. It should be more correct than that.
Urging Spandy to play games instead of focusing on learning.
It was kind of a bad choice to call the thing Spandy, because Spandy sounds so much like Sandy that if you're listening to this, you're gonna get it. Like it just said Spandy.
Sandy might nag SpongeBob for encouraging Spandy to play games.
Like it just said encouraging Spandy to play games, but it's Sandy in the frame. So you could get confused because Spandy sounds so much like Sandy. So it was really poor choice of the name. Like they should have just like given it a name.
While SpongeBob felt that Sandy's methods sometimes overlooked Spandy's emotional needs. But something happened.
That is not an argument can you imagine SpongeBob saying that? You're overlooking her emotional needs? No, man, he's SpongeBob. He'd just be like, I like imagine. Like, does SpongeBob ever talk like that to Squidward? When Squidward is like a fuddy-duddy, like in the imagination, does SpongeBob sit and explain, hey, Squidward, I think you're neglecting your emotional needs? No, he just says, imagination is fun. Like that's how SpongeBob talks. Like you're just getting it wrong.
Spandy's brain is mostly squirrel, so she's a bit disconnected from being a
Spandy's brain is mostly squirrel. Why would it be? Why would it not be? Why would it not be half and half? You're just making that up.
body would absorb water too quickly, leaving her swollen and immobile until SpongeBob found a creative solution, usually smacking her gently with his trusty spatula.
What? This is so out of nowhere. It would get filled with water and he'd smack her why with the spatula? Because SpongeBob usually uses a spatula and you're trying to tie in something else to the character?
Not only did she shed fur almost constantly, as growing sponge-squirrel hybrids do, according to Wikipedia, she also shed...
According to Wikipedia. Gotta... Wait, what? Wait, hold on.
Not only did she shed fur almost constantly, as growing sponge-squirrel hybrids do, according to Wikipedia...
As growing sponge-squirrel hybrids... Wait, was that supposed to be a joke? I guess Wikipedia would say that about squirrels, but not squirrel sponge... That was so clunky, right? According to Wikipedia, so the Wikipedia page for sponge squirrels or the Wikipedia page for squirrels? This doesn't make any sense. This is so incoherent. But I like how it was trying to cite a source to maybe give itself a little more authority. Because so much of SpongeTruth's or a lot of these channels like this is they say things authoritatively without backing it up. So when you do that, sometimes you want to sound a little more like you are an authority. So sometimes being according to Wikipedia, you'll sound a little more authoritative, but it just made it very incoherent. Or maybe, will the AI say something according to Wikipedia? I don't know. It's weird. I'm pretty sure SpongeTruth's is they don't really edit their scripts very much from the AI, what it spits out. So it probably just said that.
So when SpongeBob wasn't playing with Spandy, he was catching fur and sponge clumps with his jellyfishing net.
Again, with his jellyfishing net, he was catching the fur that was shedding with the jellyfish net, trying to tie in to SpongeBob related things. He smacks her with the spatula, he uses the jellyfishing net. It's almost like this is just a generic raising kids is hard, and they're just adding SpongeBob stuff on top of it to make it justified to be on the SpongeBob channel.
He was equally at home climbing the trees inside the dome or exploring the coral fields of Bikini Bottom.
It's just boring, man. It's just boring. It's just boring. Oh yeah, because she's both, she'd be able to enjoy both. It's just so lame.
Meanwhile, things at the Krusty Krab weren't much easier. Totally against his nature, SpongeBob missed more and more days of work. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to care for Spandy when Sandy was off on who knows what kind of surface adventures. Adventure, she said...
Wait, what?
...was integral to the optimal well-being of their biosphere. But SpongeBob thought...
That's not a thing in the show. Sandy doesn't go on trips to the surface. That's just not a thing. That's just misunderstanding the character. I guess in a fanfic you would say that. Because Sandy doesn't go to the surface very often. I guess there's what is it? There's one about a rodeo where Sandy says that she likes to visit home to go to a rodeo. So she can go to the surface. She's not trapped underwater. She chooses to be there. But that's not a thing that Sandy goes to the surface. Is this saying that she's cheating on him? Some kind of weird manufacturing drama?
She was probably just trying to run away from her responsibilities. So
She was probably trying to run away from her responsibilities. That's such a stretch. That is not an aspect of her character at all. That's really mean-spirited. This idea that Sandy would abandon her kid? Source? What evidence from the show has shown you that this character would abandon a responsibility like that? That's not in her character at all. You're just manufacturing a Sandy would never.
Grappling with feelings of jealousy. His best friend was no longer available for their usual jellyfishing adventures.
Look at the footage. It's from it's so sloppy. They use footage from the SpongeBob official. So this is I guess how many times they caught jellyfish. So there's a graphic in their footage.
Or he watched from the outside.
They really focus on the Patrick thing. Patrick would feel left out. I guess he would. I guess that's whatever.
Then he turned even redder, humiliated beyond words. The rage in...
They're really focusing on Patrick getting angry and hating this kid. It's actually kind of weird. Like, it's pretty uncomfortable, to be honest, like, of a concept. Like, I don't know. I know, like, it is kind of in line with Patrick's character. Like, Patrick does like hanging out with SpongeBob. Like, he is very attached to him with, like, the whole, like, what do you usually do when I'm gone? Wait for you to get back, which they could have cited that as an episode. Would have made it a little more interesting. Yeah, it's, like, really making it weird. Like, is it implying that Patrick's gonna do something heinous?
Instead of dying down, doubled. He spun around furious, screaming at Sandy for not putting stickers on the glass walls so he wouldn't run into them.
For not putting stickers? I guess I missed that.
Then he swayed, stumbled, and collapsed, hitting the grass with a dull thud.
What is this, like, fanfic, you know, like, hitting the grass with a dull thud? It's so stolen from a fanfic, right? Like, it has to be. What?
A fragment of glass the size of a Krabby Patty popped loose.
The size of a...
The water spouted through. Panic snapped through
Bro, what is this detail? What is this detail? As the shard of a glass. It's so like a fanfic, right? Like, it's so, like, this is supposed to be an analysis channel. This is like telling a story. Like, I mean, like, I guess you could do that. Like, if you have a channel, like, you could, like, be like, okay, like, I like to talk about SpongeBob, but here's my SpongeBob fanfic. It's not being presented as that, though. It's like, what if SpongeBob was saying to a child? That's just so weird.
Patrick, SpongeBob screamed, shaking him, but he didn't stir. The water was already ankle.
So, like, if Patrick actually, like, accidentally destroyed the tree dome in an episode, it wouldn't be that dramatic, you know? Like, it's so dramatic in a way that this show just would not do. Like, there could be drama in SpongeBob. It does happen, but, like, this is not how it would happen.
Spandy floated in it, giggling, oblivious to the catastrophe closing in around her.
Wait, is it supposed to be a baby or like a kid? Because I feel like a kid would know that something's wrong, but like a baby wouldn't.
If SpongeBob could slow the flood, SpongeBob pressed himself
this?
Against the breach, forcing his porous body into the opening. For a second,
this is just, this is so off topic. What does this have to do with if...
Spandy laughed again, delighted by the absurd sight. SpongeBob's heart pounded every direction. Spandy laughed.
It said Spandy oh, look, this is exactly what I said. He said Spandy is laughing, meaning the kid is laughing because the kid doesn't understand what's going on, so the kid's laughing, even though the kid as described looks like more of like a 5-year-old, not like a baby. And the editor hears Spandy, but they think it's Sandy, so they put in an image of Sandy. And they're just like, whatever. Okay, so that was just a fan fiction. That's all that was. It was and you know what? Like, you know what's so weird about it is like it goes in with that creepy thumbnail and then it's just kind of a fan fiction. This is a dumb idea for a video at all. Like the idea of like, oh, what if like SpongeBob and Sandy had a kid? Like, I think it's a pretty dumb idea for a video, for like an analysis video. Like, I guess it'd be fine for like a fan fiction. I'm not really a fan fiction guy. Anyway, like, it's not really something that entertains me regardless. Like, some people like it, so, like, it's fine. But, like, for an analysis video, but, like, let's just say I accept the premise. You're doing an analysis video, what would happen if SpongeBob and Sandy had a kid? There's still a lot to talk about with that. You could have talked about how, I don't know, why they wouldn't do it. Like, why the show doesn't have SpongeBob and Sandy be a couple. Why they wouldn't have a kid, you know, for that reason. But like, what if they did? How would it change up the show? Like kind of the stuff that I said about like Rockabye Bivalve and Karen's Baby, like all that sort of stuff. And I mean, I do get what the point of it is. The point of it is to make people sit and waste their time watching it because it's familiar characters moving on the screen. What's also strange about this video is that it didn't talk about any episodes. It didn't reference a single episode, I don't think. It had like some things that were like shots of like Pretty Patties or whatever, like to reference something. But all in all, it was not it didn't reference any episodes, which is strange because I think it actually would have been better to reference episodes. Because basically what it should have said is, these are the dynamics that would have happened. And here is past episodes. Here's the behavior of the characters in past episodes that informs why I think the characters would act this way in this new status quo. I think another thing too is that the video isn't exactly honest about it being a fan fiction because it's framed like it's an analysis. Like SpongeTruth's, you know, already is like supposed to be like an analysis channel. Obviously, it doesn't do good analysis because it's written with AI. So you're going to go into this, you're going to be expecting analysis, but it doesn't analyze anything. It just does a weird fan fiction, some kind of story about Patrick breaking a tree dome. It's just odd. All right. What if Mr. Krabs has a fetish? I guess we should just dive right in.
I mean, what if his love for cash ran so deep, so bizarre, that it crossed into the realm of a fetish?
Oh my god. Is this really? Oh, okay. So again, this is fake sensationalism. Complete fake sensationalism. There is nothing in the show that would indicate this. The point of Married to Money is that Mr. Krabs is really obsessed with money to the point where he'd want to marry it. Like, married to money is like a saying. You say, oh, you're married to money. You're married to your work. You know, like that's a common saying. Like, that's all it means. It doesn't mean that doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, you heard me. A fetish. He named his...
Oh, I heard you.
Mr. Krabs' relationship with his beloved dollar bills is anything but ordinary.
Okay, but why was that the thumbnail? So this is the thumbnail. Weird kink, and he has Squidward in the saddle. And the video is just going to talk about all the times he's greedy. Like, I guess what it's trying to say that it talks about when he personifies money, like with the Kashina, and the Cashy and money talks and all that. That doesn't mean that, bro. Like, that doesn't mean that. You're so just trying to make it. It's just so they could do this thumbnail. It didn't even work that well. You know, like this. I mean, it got 58,000 views on this. Oh my goodness. I really hope they bought their views. If this actually is that many people like clicked on this. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people like in the thousands would have clicked on this just because it's that shocking. But these videos actually, for the ones that are around it, they actually didn't do as well if you look at it. So like, what if Mr. Krabs has a fetish? 58,000. This one with the murder is 107, so almost twice that. What if Squidward became successful is more than that. And then this one is 59,000 with the weird new child one. Like, the really shocking thumbnails didn't seem to really serve them well. What if Patrick was never born got like a ton? That's crazy. Get that. So like, it didn't really do that much for them. Although this one we talked about, this awful one right here with the heavily censored, that one did really well for them with this monstrosity. Yeah, I hope all that is YouTube autoplayer bots. I know, right? Like, I can't imagine, like, I have heard from a lot of people who do comment all the time and they say, you helped me realize SpongeTruth's was AI. So like, it is a thing that people don't know. They will just watch SpongeTruth's and not be aware of it.
Any pinching monster who is the proprietor of the Krusty Krab.
And that penny or the arm comes off. That little
Wait, that's such a weird example. So they go, he's penny
monster
pincher.
Who is the proprietor of the Krusty Krab.
and that penny
So they're saying he's greedy, but they use this frame. So they start with this.
or the arm comes off.
Shouldn't they have done like the 5 seconds before that? Where he says, oh, look, a penny, and he grabs him and he says, unhand that penny or the arm comes off. Why have the part where the Flying Dutchman comes in? You would have to have actually watched this episode to know what this is referring to. Which, like, I'm sure most people did. But, like, that's just so weird. It's such a weird choice.
That little display of parsimonious penny pinching just earned you a nice little spot in Davy Jones' locker.
Why have so much of this dialogue?
For eternity! I'm not cheap. I'm generous.
He has...
That was such a weird choice. They basically showed all of the parts that don't get the point across. Because literally the moment right before that clip was him grabbing the guy's arm and saying he was going to tear his arm off if he doesn't give him the penny. And the moment right after that was Squidward saying, you almost tore a man's arm off for a penny. But that part does not make any sense out of context.
a very well-known restaurant, a literal whale daughter, a sponge working as his chef, and an octopus as his cat.
Why are you listing these things? What does this have to do with what if Mr. Krabs has a fetish? You're just listing that he has a daughter and a sponge works for him and a octopus works for him.
Then why is he having just 2 employees? I know some of you are going to...
Why is he having just 2 employees?
The 2 primary employees are just SpongeBob and Squidward.
You know, I never like this take when people say stuff like this, like, why do only SpongeBob and Squidward work at the Krusty Krab? And it's like, it's because it's a show, man. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, don't try to read into it. The reason that only SpongeBob and Squidward work at the Krusty Krab is because it's a cartoon and there aren't that many main characters. So if there was like other shifts it would just complicate things. All right. It would just complicate things. That's why. Maybe you could do some cool stuff with it. Like maybe you could kind of read into it where you go like, I don't know. I never like taking that too seriously. Like obviously any real restaurant is going to have a rotation of different employees, but like it's just simpler that way. Mr. Krabs is the owner and SpongeBob and Squidward work there. And like that's fine. Squidward's the cashier, SpongeBob's the fry cook. Just move past it. Another reason is Mr. Krabs is too cheap to pay for new employees. Well, that's what he's going to say in this video. He's going to say Mr. Krabs is so cheap because he has a fetish for money, I guess. That's what it's trying to say.
If I can remember, there was an episode where SpongeBob literally paid Mr. Krabs to work at the restaurant.
18, 9.
Yeah, it's just a joke though. Like they do, yeah, they have. Well, this example isn't, you know what's funny? They could have said for this, they should have talked about Big Pink Loser. Because in Big Pink Loser, there's an example where in Big Pink Loser, there's a scene where SpongeBob says, wow, Patrick, you got hired at $50 an hour. I had to pay Mr. Krabs $100 an hour when I first worked here. Like to say that, you know, he has to pay Mr. Krabs to work there. Like that was just a joke. But this example actually isn't correct because this example, SpongeBob paying him is actually, it's like a bill because they got charged for like slacking on the job. And this is Squid on strike, so it's like the reason that they went on strike. So that's kind of what this is referring to.
15 and 20. Here you go, Mr. K. I think this should cover all my nonsense.
I think this should cover all my... Yeah, that kind of almost references it.
And Squidward just keeps working there because he's depressed.
Need some change?
And Squidward keeps working there because he's depressed? No. Squidward works there because he'd be homeless if he didn't. We see what happens. And Can You Spare a Dime? Squidward quits the Krusty Krab and he becomes homeless. It's just the only job he can get. Like no one else wants to hire him. He's a cashier at a restaurant because he isn't good enough at his artistic goals.
No.
Why?
Because I'm all...
Why are they using Skill Crane when he says he's out of money? Why are they using that as the example of Squidward works there because he's depressed? First of all, the context of this scene is that Squidward is broke because he spent all his money on the crane game. So that doesn't have anything to do. So him being broke is just a this episode thing. He's not usually that broke, but he's not well off enough that he does have to work at the Krusty Krab. That is known. That if he didn't work at the Krusty Krab, he'd be in trouble. He needs to have a job. He doesn't work there just because he's depressed.
If I was running a successful restaurant, I would be willing to pay my employees at least the minimum wage. But Mr. Krabs doesn't do that.
Again, like it's just silly. Like I get that this can be interesting. Like there are like theory videos where people will like look at a discrepancy like that. Like, oh, SpongeBob and Squidward are the only 2 employees. You could probably make something interesting based off of that. Or like Mr. Krabs like doesn't pay. Well, first of all, Mr. Krabs does pay them. In the majority of the canon of the show, Mr. Krabs just pays them minimum wage. Like that's like pretty obvious that like that's what he would pay them. I don't really see why we would really think differently. You know, he like doesn't pay them or he makes them pay him because of a couple one-off jokes. Like I just don't see it. And he's like, I would pay my employees at least minimum wage.
In fact, when we watched him for the first time in the series premiere, Help Wanted.
And also like, yeah, like that just means he's greedy though. Like even if you did want to take that at face value, yeah, Mr. Krabs makes his employees pay him. He doesn't pay them a living wage. He makes them pay him. Like you can say that, but the conclusion to that is just Krabs is greedy, which the show has already established. It doesn't mean that he has some kind of fetish for money. You're going to need better examples than that. We already know he's greedy. You don't have to prove that he's greedy at that point. You're trying to prove something further. Everyone already knows that Mr. Krabs is greedy. You're trying to prove that his greediness is something more. That's what you're trying to imply here. So why are you spending so much of the video trying to prove that Mr. Krabs is just greedy? We already know that. Oh my goodness, look at this. So look, when I go up here, there's a little X where I can, I guess, X out. Yeah, it's X out of the full screen. Look. The help wanted that's in that they have the screenshot of has an X in the screenshot. Meaning, oh look, there's like an M here. There's like a transparent M. The title card, dude, all you have to do is search help wanted title card. You don't need a screenshot from a YouTube video. Why? It's so lazy.
May 1st, 1999, Mr. Krabs' character...
Why did you need to give the date of when Help Wanted came out?
Which aired on May 1st, 1999.
Yeah, it's so weird. They have like which aired on May 1st, 1999, and they put in the text of the date. The M might have been the text, the M in May. Oh, was it?
First time in the series premiere, Help Wanted.
You're so right. Misinformation on my part. You're so right. The transparent M was from the editing of the video. Okay, so the Help Wanted, so to clear that up, the Help Wanted title card just has an X on the top, which isn't the X from this YouTube video. That is in the video, that X, which means they screenshot it from a YouTube video and they happen to have their mouse up to trigger the X when they screenshotted it. Look at this. They just pressed remove background and they didn't even go in and get rid of, like, there's blue in the background of this, of whatever this image is. Look at that. I experience this all the time because I'm always clicking remove background to make my thumbnails. Look, it removed some of his arm and it didn't take out all of the background. You can go in and fix this in Photoshop. You just have to click select and mask and you can go in and you can put that back. You can take this out and it takes just a little bit more work, but a little bit more work, I guess, is too much for SpongeTruth's. Why is being greedy a fetish? It's not. It's a stretch. It's trying to make a sensationalist claim based off of something that is not true. I mean, if it's only one editor, they have a very quick turnaround time. Well, then you're going to have to work around that. Like, this is, I mean, I guess it is acceptable if you look at, I just want views and money. It's not acceptable from an I care about my audience perspective.
He's willing to give her money when she demands it. And there's always a but. Mr. Krabs bought a bed for her when she was born, and she had been using it since then.
Wait, what was that sentence?
Mr. Krabs bought a bed for her when she was born, and she had been using it since then.
Mr. Krabs bought a bed for her when she was born, and she's been using it since then. What is this as evidence for anything? Yes, he bought his daughter a bed. He's not so cheap that he wouldn't buy his daughter a bed, because that would be really messed up. Like, there are probably parents out there that are so cheap they don't even buy their kids a bed, and that'd be really messed up. But, like, they wouldn't want Mr. Krabs to be so cheap he doesn't buy his daughter a bed, because then he'd be an abusive parent. And that would make him too unlikable. You know, like, he's cheap, sure, but, like, yeah, he bought his daughter. What does this have to do with anything?
If you love your daughter more than your money, wouldn't you buy her?
AI misremembering the mattress episode. Well, to be fair, that was Mr. Krabs' own mattress. So Mr. Krabs having a bad mattress, a lumpy mattress for himself, that doesn't reflect badly on him as a person. Whereas if he didn't buy his daughter a mattress or bought her a bad mattress, he would come off as an abusive parent. But if he chooses willingly to sleep on a lumpy mattress every night, because he's too cheap to buy himself a new one, then like, that doesn't make him a bad person. It just makes him irresponsible.
A nice bed every few years. This makes me think that he just gives Pearl money when he is 4.
Are you serious? Is this wait, this doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? What is this evidence? Mr. Krabs bought a bed for her when she was born. I'm sorry, source on the, what do you mean bought a bed for her when she was born? They showed a shot. Look at how misleading this is.
Mr. Krabs bought.
So look, this is a shot from an early season episode. I don't know what episode it is specifically, probably like season 4 or 5. It's before the show was HD. So they use an early season episode
a bed for her when
she was a baby
was born.
And the shot is Mr. Krabs holding Pearl as a baby with no bed in sight. I would assume that Pearl would have a crib at that point, actually, not a bed. So you don't buy babies' beds also.
And she had been using it since
then. Well, you don't know that. Like, SpongeBob has the same bed throughout the whole show. It's a cartoon. In a cartoon, characters usually have the same bed throughout the whole show. They're not gonna, like, what is this evidence?
Buy her a nice bed every few years.
Wouldn't you buy her a nice bed every few years? Ah, yes. Why doesn't this cartoon show have a character have a new bed every couple of seasons? A character whose bedroom is not shown very often, by the way. I don't know, man. Maybe because cartoons don't, like, you might as well just say Mr. Krabs is cheap because he doesn't buy Pearl new clothes because she wears the same shirt all the time. Like, you might as well say that. Like, that's not evidence of that. Every cartoon has a character have, like, the same room. Unless there's a specific status quo change in the show. Actually ridiculous. Sponge source, trust me, bro. I've only had 2 beds in my entire life. Ah, yes, I also get a new bed every few years. Yeah, that doesn't mean he's cheap. What are you talking about, man? Mr. Krabs does not, like, neglect Pearl. That is not a thing. They have never had that. In fact, that's one of the things that makes Mr. Krabs a more well-rounded character. Is that the thing about Mr. Krabs is that he's super greedy, but there are things that Mr. Krabs loves more than money, and Pearl is one of them. Another episode, Mrs. Puff. He cares more about Mrs. Puff than money because he keeps spending money on their dates. You cannot use Pearl as an example of even, by the way, this is just trying to prove that he's greedy. You can't even use Pearl as an example of Mr. Krabs being greedy, let alone that he has some kind of fetish for money. What are you talking about? He's greedy and cheap, but at least he loves Pearl. Yeah, like, you can't have a cartoon dad like Mr. Krabs and have him, like, neglect his daughter because he's so cheap. The audience would hate him. We would never forgive him. He can sell SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents. Like, I know that's a worse action, you know, because you're selling a person's soul, but also, like, it's so cartoonish. It's so out there. He sold his soul for 62 cents. Or he fired SpongeBob to save a nickel. It's so absurd that it makes it seem less bad. But if he didn't buy his daughter a bed, that'd be pretty awful. So no, I reject this.
This makes me think that he just gives Pearl money when he is forced. Now,
he just gives Pearl money when he is forced. That is not true at all. When does he give Pearl money? Does he do that a lot? Right? Yeah, I want an advance on my allowance. How often does he give Pearl money? The only instance I can think of is the algae is always greener. But in the algae is always greener, Plankton took Mr. Krabs' place, and Pearl was asking Plankton, and Plankton was her dad in that universe because Plankton took Mr. Krabs' life and asked him for money. So I know it's a thing that she does. Like, she's known to do that in the show. But he's not forced to. Like, Pearl doesn't force him to. Like, I guess maybe he gives her money because she would cry and, like, he doesn't want to hear her cry, but that's not forcing him to. It's a little bit, you know, manipulative on Pearl's part, but I don't know. Maybe Mr. Krabs should give his daughter some money from time to time, you know, so she can go to the mall or something. I think that's a nice thing to do. So I'm on Pearl's side in that. Don't worry. I don't think she's being manipulative or nothing, but he's saying she's being manipulative. Pearl forces him to. Like, it's his daughter, okay? He's a cheapskate. Isn't the reason people hate Whale of a Birthday is because Mr. Krabs is borderline neglectful of Pearl in that episode? Yeah, a little bit.
The question is whether Mr. Krabs' obsession with money is merely a comedic exaggeration, or does it point to a deeper psychological attachment?
It's both. It is a deeper psychological attachment. It's both of those. Those things are not mutually exclusive. The cartoonishness of Krabs' greediness makes it easier for us to enjoy the show because he's doing these absurd things with greed, but it also makes a comment about greed. It makes a comment on how greed can alienate you from people, how greed can turn your workers against you, like in Squid on Strike. This is why I love Friend or Foe as a backstory to Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs grew up poor in Friend or Foe, so the reason he's really greedy is because he grew up very poor, you know? Or the backstory about when he was at the beach and his father gave him $1 and he loved that dollar and he spent it on a soda. You know, like, these are emotional reasons why Mr. Krabs is greedy. It could be both of those things. It's not a fetish, though. Friend or Foe isn't canon. It's It's all over the place. I know. It contradicts itself. I like to think of Friend or Foe as canon. I would not argue it's like official canon. But when I watch the show, I enjoy thinking that Friend or Foe is canon because it makes Krabs' greediness feel more human. It makes Krabs and Plankton's relationship feel more meaningful to me. It makes Plankton's motivation to want the formula more meaningful to me. I prefer it as the, like, if I worked for SpongeBob, if I had control over it, if I was like leading the writer's room, I would want Friend or Foe to be the established canon. TBH, I think the war also helped cause Krabs' stinginess. Good point. Yeah, good point. If you're in the Navy, you're at times, rationing your food, living in squalor. Yeah, I feel like being a veteran could have that effect on you afterwards. I could totally see that. Absolutely, that's a great point.
All greed is driven by the perks, luxury, power, and the
Oh, holy AI. Can I say something? So this video's old. This is like a year old. I hate to say it. I'm feeling a little nostalgic. Is anyone else feeling a little nostalgic for this? Come on. I miss when AI images looked like this. This video is January 31st, 2025. So this was the best AI could do with images back then. Like, and the reason that I say that is like, I mean, obviously AI images were bad back then too, but like when they were this blatantly awful, at least like people didn't want to use them. You had to be really bold to use this in a video, as opposed to like modern AI images where you have to really look at them. They still look like garbage. Like any AI image is going to look like garbage because it's not going to have human intent behind it. But like, at least with this, like I'm nostalgic for the absurdity of it all, that it just like, it did this, it gave him long legs. All the money is going into, what are these things with eyes, the champagne bottles? It's just like, and I knew back then, I knew that AI was bad back then because I knew it was going to get worse than this. I knew when I saw this, that eventually they're going to make images that are going to be harder to tell. They're not going to be as absurd. But I mean, like, I miss this, at least when they looked like this, we didn't have to be on our toes all the time, because you could just be like, oh yeah, it's an AI image.
People want money for mansions, luxury trips, and Bugattis.
False. Andrew Tate. Oh my God. Is that really?
What color's your Bugatti?
Wait, that's such a bad example.
Luxury, power, and the status that wealth can bring. People want...
Okay. You're all over the place. You're all over the place. Greed is driven by perks. It kind of is, it kind of isn't. So like if greed was driven by perks, you would probably be a little bit frugal. Like there are definitely greedy people where they could, really pinch pennies and all that because they want to like buy a nice house or they want nice things. They want the perks. Sure. That could make you greedy, but the kind of greed that Mr. Krabs is, and I guess it's going to make that point. The kind of greed that Mr. Krabs is like psychological.
What color's your Bugatti?
I mean,
like the reason that the Andrew Tate was such a bad example is that like someone like Andrew Tate isn't rich because they like want Bugattis or whatever. Someone like that is rich because they have a hole in their heart. No one loves them. So all they have is, I want this number to be higher because it says I'm better than other people. Like that's what, like these people who are like, these people where it's like, they're so rich, if I had their money, I would just like retire to an island forever. Like, yeah, like maybe I should rephrase that. Maybe being rich and retiring to an island forever is not what people want to do anymore. If I was just rich, I'd just like retire and I just like chill forever. I mean, I guess if I was rich, I would still make videos if I was rich. I just would hire a lot of people to do a lot of the editing, but I'd still make videos if I was rich. A lot of people would be like, yeah, if I was that rich, I'd just this. Well, like, it's not about that for a lot of these like super rich people, especially the Andrew Tate, that example. Like, these are just people who have like holes in their heart because they have no love and they fill it with all of this like status idea. And you're saying that that's like normal greed. It's just getting muddied. It's trying to make a deep statement, but because it's AI, it's muddied, So the point he's making of like greed is driven by perks, but it's also something deeper. The point he's making is the word equivalent of this image. You look at it and you can understand that it's communicating something, but it's all over the place, And by communicating something so incoherently, it ends up communicating nothing. It's easier to spot when it's this image than it is with words, because you have to think about it with words.
Or hosting elaborate parties.
Look at the watermarks on this image they use. Just such lazy image choices. Would it have been that hard to find this frame? It's not a bad frame to use for that example, saying he wants to host parties. I know it's not a party in this example, but it looks like a party. It's the end of the SpongeBob movie. But it looks like a party. It's not a bad image to use, but you just are lazy. You didn't get the right image of it.
No, his fixation is purely on the physical bills and coins themselves. If he
Yes, that is sometimes how really rich people operate, where they care about the number. Yeah, the number. Well, the number, it's usually like a bank account number or more so, not a bank account number. It's usually a stock number, a stock valuation number, like hyper rich people. That's what they care about. It's not literal bills. It's shown as literal bills because it's a cartoon. I wonder if it would address that they show the literal bills because it's a cartoon. They probably don't, because they don't have that kind of introspection.
wanted nice things, he would at least buy a nice house, just like Squilliam Fancy Son III. I mean,
Wait, what are you talking about? Mr. Krabs absolutely has a nice house. Wait, he does that. He so does that. You're so lying. You're just like, this is just false. It's saying that Mr. Krabs would at least buy himself a nice house. He does, though. His anchor is a super nice house. I mean, I guess it's not a mansion, but that's okay. Like a lot of rich people will like not buy a crazy mansion. There are rich people who don't need that kind of space. Like how they're saying with Squilliam Fancy Son. But Mr. Krabs has a nice house. Like he doesn't live in a shack. Like that would be one thing. But also Mr. Krabs has a lot of material possessions. Wet paint, that is the premise of Wet Painters. The premise of Wet Painters is Mr. Krabs has a lot of knickknacks on the walls. So he's like a collector of nice things. So he does spend his money. So this is not correct. My personal preference wouldn't want to live in an anchor. I think it's more so that his house is just stylized like an anchor. Like it's not like it's a literal anchor. It probably just has like regular central heating and stuff. Like I'm sure it's a regular house. It's just shaped like an anchor because it's a nautical show. It's just evidence of him being a cheapskate, by the way. This is not about what if Mr. Krabs has a fetish. We know he's cheap already. We know he's cheap. You are 4 minutes and 35 seconds into this video. 4 minutes and 35 seconds into this video. You have not made an argument for it being a fetish. You have just made arguments that he is cheap. We already know he's cheap. Easy recap bait. Yeah, exactly. So now he's talking about the lost mattress, and he's saying that the lost mattress shows that he's cheap because he doesn't buy himself a nice mattress. That is true. That is exactly what the episode communicates. While Mr. Krabs, as I said before, I think he does have a nice house. I don't think he has a bad house for like what he is. He does willingly not choose to. Well, actually, the lost mattress, does the lost mattress communicate that? Is Mr. Krabs' mattress uncomfortable because it's old, or is it uncomfortable because it's where he stores his money? Because I don't think it's because it's old. I think that the joke of the episode is Mr. Krabs puts his money in a mattress instead of in the bank, because literally he's never heard of a bank. That's the actual explanation. Squidward says, haven't you heard of a bank? And Mr. Krabs just says no. That's literally it. It's not that he doesn't trust banks. He's just never heard of the concept, which I think is very funny. So we are at 4 minutes and 26 seconds in. Let's just see how much of it is just recapping the lost mattress. 5:30. Okay, it's like a minute. Okay, it's like a minute. Seems like it's about a minute until the next
episode. In this episode, SpongeBob and Squidward arrive late for their jobs. Of course, SpongeBob is paranoid and distressed.
No reason to say that in a recap of the lost mattress. Of course, SpongeBob is paranoid and distressed. I thought we were talking about how Mr. Krabs has a fetish. What does this have to do with SpongeBob being paranoid about the Krusty Krab being closed when they get there?
The horror is unspeakable. Don't you see?
And they use the clip too.
Squidward, it's closed.
What's the point of that? Why?
He's probably thinking, I will sell my soul only to make Mr. Krabs forget that I was late today. We will get
Oh my god, why are you talking about SpongeBob's behavior?
to the soul part later. Now, the shocking surprise is
We will get into the soul part later. Yeah, because you're gonna say that he sold SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents. I know.
that the Krusty Krab hasn't opened yet. Even Squidward is mildly curious at that point.
Why are you talking so much about the Krusty Krab not being open? This was 30 seconds of the recap. Look, 35, almost 30 seconds of the recap is just about that first scene. And then they talk about the mattress part, and then they get to the next episode.
Mr. Krabs
What?
arrives a few moments later, but he's very cranky, and he hurt his back because he kept sleeping on an old, lumpy mattress.
That was where you could have started the recap.
He even admits that sleeping on this mattress is like trying to sleep on broken coral. The man could
You don't need that. He even admitted that sleeping on it is like sleeping on broken coral. Shows an image of broken coral. They find excuses to put in more edits. I think that helps with viewer retention. Maybe I should do that more. I don't know. Well, I feel like the reason that I don't feel like I have to do this, and SpongeTruth's does, is that I feel like my videos are interesting because of what I'm saying. So I don't feel as much like I have to overcompensate with over editing. Whereas with SpongeTruth's, they have to have something like moving in every 5 seconds because what they're saying is not very interesting. So that's how it keeps people's attention. I'd be curious to see what their viewer retention looks like per video, if it's similar to mine or if it's more. I mean, they get more views, so that probably would mean that it would be more, but also they have like more subscribers. My theory is that SpongeTruth's doesn't bot too many of their views because I think you'd get in trouble for that, but I think they bought enough views and enough comments to push it in the algorithm a little more than it should. That's my theory. That's completely conjecture. I don't know if that's true, but that's my theory of why these videos get more views. I don't think the population is dumb enough that these videos would get that many views otherwise. I really don't believe that.
could have just bought a new mattress, but no, he just wants money coming in.
Wait, that's not correct. I don't think that's correct. I haven't seen this episode in a while. I think the reason that the mattress was uncomfortable wasn't because it was old. It was because his money was in it. I don't think the mattress itself was uncomfortable, right? Or was it both? Like, I think that SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward think that it's because it's old, but it's actually because his money was in it. I haven't seen it recently enough to be able to say.
Not going out even if it means hurting your back for years. You could say that he's frugal, but honestly, I disagree. This is someone whose connection to currency is oddly personal. Remember cash?
I mean, you're saying the same thing, though. You're acting like the mattress thing means something more. Like, what SpongeTruth's is implying is the episode is saying that he's not cheap, but I think it means that he is cheap. No, man, the episode is saying that the reason he didn't get rid of the mattress is because he's cheap. Now, I think the episode did it again because it has his money in it, but still, like, you're saying that the episode is not saying this and that you're saying it, but the episode is already saying it. You're saying the same thing that the episode says, but you're pretending like the episode says less and that you say more so that it looks like there's more going on.
Remember Cashy, the cash register he named and treats like a sentient being?
The cash, yeah, the cash. I know he calls it Cashy, and yes. Well, SpongeBob does that too with his spatula.
That's not just quirky, I think that's downright peculiar. And the physical effect
Yeah, it's supposed to be that he's obsessed.
section, oh boy. In multiple episodes, Mr. Krabs is seen kissing, sniffing, and tucking his money into bed.
Like, I guess you can say that, but you know, this is what no media literacy does to someone. Well, it's AI. So AI has no media literacy. So AI is going to think this. But then people are going to watch this and they're going to internalize this. This is very media illiterate. The reason that Mr. Krabs kisses money and cuddles money and like all that stuff, it's just a way of showing to the audience that he's obsessed with money. That's all it is, bro. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that it has a fetish.
He cries after losing his beloved millionth dollar. And don't get confused, we are not talking about $1 million. We are talking about a single dollar. And don't get
Wait, that's so incorrect. Dude, you're such a liar. He wasn't sad because he lost $1. He was sad because it was the millionth dollar. It was sentimental to him because he achieved the goal of getting $1 million, and that was the dollar that was his millionth dollar. That's why it was special to him. It had a sentimental value. That has nothing to do with greedy. I mean, okay, it does have to do with greed because the reason that he cares about making $1 million is because he's a greedy person. But honestly, even with a not greedy person, I think that would be pretty reasonable. If you started a business and you got your millionth dollar from that business, I would not find that crazy to like frame that dollar. It's kind of like framing the first dollar you ever made on something. But he's implying that that he did that because he lost $1. Now, like, he has done crazy things for small amounts of money. Penny Foolish, I think, is a good example of that, where he's like super obsessed with the 1 penny. But even then, like, it's about the emotional attachment. It's about the obsessiveness. But he's just saying, oh, it's because he's greedy. And again, 6 minutes and 30 seconds in, all he's been proving is that he's greedy, not that it's a fetish. He said the closest he's gone to saying that it's a fetish is that he hugs and kisses money, which is just a cartoonish thing.
And don't get me started on his vacation to the Bikini Bottom Mint in Krabs Takes a Vacation. Who picks that as a getaway? Well,
Who picks that as that might be an interesting place to go. I don't know. I mean, yeah, like if you're a greedy guy, you might want to go to the mint to see money. I would 100% take a vacation to a United States mint. What are you talking? That sounds awesome. That sounds like a super fun, like I would want to go because it'd be like, you know, like historical, you know, and it would like talk about like I'm actually like a coin collector. I have a thing. I'm not gonna go get it, but I have like a little cutout, and it's like all 50 states and many U.S. territories, and I'm actually collecting all of the different state quarters. So I have some limited edition $2 bills that have the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone National Park on them. Like I have I have some like cool, like interesting coins. I don't have any like super rare coins or anything, but I'd love to go to a mint. What are you talking about? Sounds like a fun place to go. And yeah, I get it. Like he goes there because he's greedy, but like mints give like tours, right? So it's a great vacation spot. I'd love to go to a United States mint if they're open for tours. Jackson lore reveal. I know. Yeah. A coin collector. Not a huge coin collector. I'd like to get into it more.
I would go to sunny beaches. Mr. Krabs risks his life crawling inside a coin press machine. Tears up.
We would go to sunny beach. That's so rude. Oh, I'm so cool. I'd go to a sunny beach. Well, maybe it'd be fun to go to the mint. I don't know. I think it'd be fun. Mr. Krabs Takes a Vacation is extremely underrated, by the way. I should watch it. It's a whole series, right? There's a bunch of different episodes with different characters who take vacations. I should do a video on it.
Screams, Mr. Krabs has a money fetish. It's the episode Money Talks. In this wild
I disagree. First of all, when the money talks, they're all men. Well, I guess that's one.
Episode, Mr. Krabs finally gets what he's been dreaming about. Actual conversations with his cash.
If I could talk the money, come along!
Whoa, no, don't you copyright me. And again, it's the same thing as like you see him hug and kiss money. Like it's just a way of personifying that, yes, he loves money. But that doesn't mean, so what this is trying to say, like has a fetish is like, you know, we all know what a fetish is. I don't need to explain it to you, but this does not really mean that. And it definitely does not warrant a 16-minute video.
And then he makes a deal with the Flying Dutchman, wishing that his money could talk. Let's stop right.
He makes a deal with the Flying Dutchman that his money could talk. He didn't show the footage of the Flying Dutchman. You know why he didn't show the footage of the Flying Dutchman? Because this footage, and I can tell because this footage is 16:9. This episode was in season 5? Season 5 was 4:3 aspect ratio. This footage should be a square. But the reason this footage is not a square is because the editor took this footage from the official SpongeBob account because they're not good at gathering footage. There are better ways to get footage than this, where you get it in the correct aspect ratio. But if you're lazy, you don't care about that. I guess the footage of the episode didn't have the Flying Dutchman in it. So he must have just not used the footage of the Flying Dutchman. But it's so lazy. If I was going to say he made a deal. I've talked about this episode, actually. I talked about this episode in my Flying Dutchman video. I'm sure when I said Mr. Krabs made a deal with the Flying Dutchman, I showed the Flying Dutchman on screen.
Is not no Dutchman.
Wait, there he is. What are you talking about? Wait, what? Wait, you do have footage of the Flying Dutchman.
And then he makes a deal with the Flying Dutchman.
Why are you using that footage for he makes a deal with the Flying Dutchman? And then you did have footage of it. Incoherent. Just complete nonsense.
Let that sink in. This man made a literal deal with the Flying Dutchman, offering up his soul just for the chance to chit-chat with his cash.
Yeah. What does that have to do with having a fetish?
He listens to it, cares for it, even flirts with it in his own...
Even flirts with it? Does he? I haven't seen this episode since I made my Flying Dutchman video. Does he flirt with it? Does he flirt with the money? Because the money is portrayed as masculine because it has like the presidents on it. It has like the fish guy that like looks like a president, like how American money is.
It gets even weirder. Mr. Krabs starts spending money against his will, buying fairy princess outfits, corn dogs, and diapers because the money begs him to. Possession off a cliff. If this were just about greed, he'd be thrilled to spend a little to make a lot.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. If this, he'd be no, he's just spending it. He's spending it on worthless stuff. He's not going to make a lot. What does that even mean? That's incoherent. I haven't watched this episode in a while, but I'm fairly certain he does not flirt with his money. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I'm pretty sure all of the things that are like Mr. Krabs, like flirting with money, is like literally just a way for the cartoon to cartoonishly show you that he's greedy.
To top it off, this behavior aligns eerily well with the psychological traits of fetishism. A fetish involves attributing
Oh my God. No, it doesn't.
human-like qualities or emotional significance to inanimate objects, often coupled with intense, irrational attachment.
Is that true? I think a fetish is something else, bro. That is not what that means. Yeah, is that like an academic? I don't want to search the word fetish on stream. Maybe I'll see if there's any definition of that. Maybe I'll just on my other monitor off stream. So for fetish, it has two. I just searched fetish definition. So in dictionary, it has two definitions. The first definition is the one that we know, the one that we're thinking of. And the second definition does say an inanimate object worshipped for its supposed magical powers or because it is considered to be inhabited by a spirit. So that is technically a definition of the word, but that is not what its thumbnail implied. So basically, it's using a more obscure definition of the word fetish so it can use the word fetish in its title to be sensationalist. And then it flips it around on you after 9 minutes of just random examples of Mr. Krabs being greedy. It then gives you the lesser known definition it's working with. So it's like technically correct, but colloquially it's incorrect. Like that is not what we think when we hear the word fetish.
What's the root cause of this fetish? To figure it out, we have to understand money is far from financial. But what's the root cause of this fetish?
So this image, they use this image already. Look at this image. So see how his shirt is filled in? He's fully colored in. It's not perfect. You can see like kind of some edges there. It's not perfectly edited out of whatever background was there. But they used the same image before. There it is. So look at this. This is the same image as before, but this one, the remove background function removed some of his shirt. But the same image is later, and it's not like that. This is the same image. How does that even happen? You have one, do you just have a folder with two images of this same Mr. Krabs, one of which is worse edited? Why not just use this one back there? I hate the idea that a big chunk of his views are iPad kids glued to the long yapping and quick cuts. Yeah, that makes it all the more sinister that the thumbnail and the title of this one is what it is, because that's got to be an explanation for what their views are. A little kid, an iPad kid, probably isn't really going to enjoy my videos. You know, they just like maybe. If a kid's really not thinking about anything else, like, but I don't make my videos with kids in mind. I just don't. My videos are very academic. But yeah, a little kid could sit and watch this. And that's really messed up. Yeah. Any parents in my audience, keep a close watch on what your kids are watching, especially on like a YouTube kind of thing. It is not like when we were kids and it was on Nickelodeon and you know, it all had to go through like regulations and censors and stuff. There's just anything on there. Definitely jingling keys for iPad kids. Yeah, I think so. I think we know enough where we can say that that's what this is doing. And the fact that it uses the word fetish makes that even worse. I don't know. Nick had predatory stuff too. They did and they didn't. Like, yeah, there's some stuff in those Dan Schneider shows that I think is a little messed up. I don't count the panty raid. I think the panty raid was totally innocent. But even then, like there were standards. All right. You're not going to get what if Mr. Krabs has a fetish with that thumbnail. You would never see something on that level on Nickelodeon. It just would not happen. It just would not happen. Some say YouTube Kids was a mistake. It's been 6 years since that was enforced on this website, and people, yeah. Oh, YouTube Kids is worthless because kids don't want to watch YouTube Kids because YouTube Kids is worse content. Kids aren't watching YouTube Kids. They're watching this. Hey, Future Jackson here. I had some off-camera thoughts about this whole SpongeTruth's iPad kid thing. While I was streaming, I wasn't really thinking much about how much that could play into SpongeTruth's view count, but after thinking about it more, I do think that it's really likely that SpongeTruth's videos are actively targeting younger viewers. What with all of its quick cuts and the fact that it's covering, well, SpongeBob, a kid's show, and it's not exactly very academic in the way that it covers it. I just want to say that while that alone is already messed up, the fact that it's doing videos like the ones I'm talking about here, and also that other heinous thumbnail from the other video that I covered not too long ago, it makes me think that there's something really sinister going on here. Kids can be really curious about this stuff, and if you remember a lot of the elsagate stuff, you can see how using these sorts of subjects can play on the curiosity of the minds of young people in a way that's just really gross and predatory. And the worst part about it is that SpongeTruths and other channels like them have so much plausible deniability. They can just be like, oh, well, I don't set it as for kids, so if kids watch it, that's on the parents, when they know damn well exactly what they're doing. So I'm just gonna say, I think SpongeTruths knows what they're doing, and I think they're doing all this creepy stuff because they know it'll get them more views. And shame on them, and don't fall for their plausible deniability. I think it's malicious, and I think it's intentional.
In a way, his greed became a coping mechanism, a way to fill the void left by the betrayal of someone he considered a friend.
False. False. What are you talking about? Are you saying his greed is because of his friendship with Plankton falling through? That is absolutely untrue. Like, I don't think he feels nothing towards their past friendship. I think Friend or Foe is a moment where, yeah, Friend or Foe is kind of a touching moment where Mr. Krabs, like, kind of embraces Plankton as, like, yeah, I remember when we were friends. And Plankton's the one who actually is cynical about it, because Plankton just is pretending to be like, let's be old friends again, just to steal the formula. But Krabs was being genuine in that moment. But that does not mean, like, Krabs is not greedy because of his friendship with Plankton. That is a complete stretch. Friend or Foe, even, like, it reveals that he's greedy because he used to be poor. Like, that's enough. That's already enough. That's fine.
Psychologists call this a textbook case of displacement, redirecting feelings of...
Thought it was a fetish.
This could also fall under objectophilia, which is a condition where individuals form deep emotional or romantic attachments to inanimate objects. Frankly,
Man, I also hate when they do this with, like, cartoon characters, where it's like, so the thing about cartoon characters is cartoon characters do stuff that's very exaggerated. We know this. We know this, that cartoon characters do things that are very exaggerated. And I just can't stand when people look at cartoon characters that clearly do things that are exaggerated for the sake of communicating the story and say, here's, like, a psychological condition for it. Like, I just don't get behind that. I think it's not only media illiterate, because it's very media illiterate. Because it's not understanding what the actual show is trying to say about greed. It's also bad for people who have actual psychological conditions to compare them to a character from a TV show that isn't representing their condition. Like, if he just cited a serious condition that someone would probably have to spend years in therapy overcoming, and saying, haha, funny crab man has that. I think that's kind of disrespectful. I think that's kind of messed up, you know? Because Mr. Krabs does not need to go to therapy for years to deal with what he has. Because he doesn't have anything. He's just greedy. That's it. And the stuff about him kissing money and saying, I want to talk to money, is just about that. It's just about him being greedy. For me, it's Tigger having ADHD that annoys me. Exactly. Like, we don't need that. We don't need that with, like, conditions. It's not, unless it's, like, a way that you can feel heard. Like I talked about in the episode, Are You Happy Now? And I talked about how that did talk about Squidward having depression, but that's supposed to be representing depression. You know, like, we could, like, you can tell the difference. This is why media literacy is important, because then you can tell the difference. You can tell, oh, okay, in Are You Happy Now, the episode is trying to teach the audience about depression. It's trying to say that Squidward has depression. And if you're a person who also has depression and you need to go to all this therapy and all this sort of stuff, then you can still feel heard because the episode is actually accurately portraying what you have. But Mr. Krabs is not supposed to be portraying having objectophilia. That is not in the text. Like, when the writers were writing the episode, Are You Happy Now? I am sure they used the word depression in the writer's room. They said, we are portraying depression when they were talking about Squidward. I am sure that not once in the writer's room of SpongeBob, they have said the word objectophilia to refer to Mr. Krabs. Not once, all right? I would bet me millionth dollar that they would not that I have $1 million, but I'd bet a lot of money that they never said that.
It's like he's saying, if I can't trust people, at least I can trust these crisp dollar bills. And
Oh, you're such a... The fakes... You know what's like this is so messed up, too.
it's like he's saying, if I can't trust people, at least I can trust these crisp dollar bills.
No. I reject this. It's already fine. Like, the story itself of Mr. Krabs grew up poor, Mr. Krabs was in the Navy, he has some traumas. That's why he's so greedy. Like, that's fine. It's already a fine story. But now you're going to manufacture this drama with his friend of Plankton and saying, if I can't trust people, at least I can trust these crisp dollar bills. Like, you're just weakening it for the sake of your narrative. Didn't you also say it's bad to say it's just a cartoon, don't look too deeply into it? Do we not project our own emotions through the characters we create to make our problems less severe? That is true, and it is good to look at cartoon characters and feel heard. But saying this cartoon character has this condition is a step too far. That's actually the other extreme. So, like, if let's say you were someone who had this objectophilia, I don't think that you as a person, if you had that condition, would feel heard by Mr. Krabs. I don't think you would feel heard by Mr. Krabs. I just think that those things don't apply to each other. So saying that Mr. Krabs has this condition is just disrespectful to those people because it just doesn't apply and you're just doing it to sound sensational in your YouTube video. Whereas something like, Are You Happy Now? People commented on the video where I talked about Are You Happy Now? In my mean-spirited SpongeBob episodes video. They said that episode, Are You Happy Now? Made them, as someone with depression, feel heard. That's the main difference. We should absolutely look deeper at cartoons. That's like the main thesis of my channel. We should look deeper at stories. They matter. These things matter. Should we do Is SpongeBob an alcoholic? Do we want to go triple feature? What if SpongeBob was an alcoholic? I'm just too curious. It just seems similar to these other ones.
He's become an alcoholic to fill the void. But it wasn't always like this. You have seen...
It wasn't always like this. It's never been like that, dude.
It all starts with Mr. Krabs.
This is another fanfic.
It started with the missing checks. SpongeBob had...
It started with the missing checks. What?
Salary. Boy, the honor of working here is your salary.
What? They're just writing like scenes. Wait, but SpongeBob doesn't care if he gets paid. This is well established. That SpongeBob does not care if he gets paid at the Krusty Krab. I would say that canonically he does get paid. I would say that the parts where Mr. Krabs is like, you need to pay me to work here, I'd say that those are just like one-off gags or like Squid on Strike, you know, like just like but I'd say like in general, he does like get paid. But SpongeBob also doesn't care about being paid. So I don't see why this would be a good start for this.
Noticed the way Mr. Krabs treated him differently from Squidward. Not with more respect, but with more control. The endless praise for everything he had believed in. His job, his friendships, his place in Bikini Bottom.
No, man, SpongeBob's not that self-aware. He wouldn't like feel broken by that. It also doesn't make any sense. I don't think Mr. Krabs would say money, the honor of working here is like enough pay. Like that just doesn't seem in character for him. I know that there's like a couple one-off jokes and like little moments that like imply that like Mr. Krabs doesn't pay them, but like, come on.
Bottom felt like a lie. Mr. Krabs had used him. Sandy had left him behind. Even
where did Sandy come from? Sandy had left him behind.
Squidward's insults, which he used to brush off with a laugh, suddenly felt personal.
So you just manufactured things that are completely out of character.
You'd expect that Patrick would try to help his friend realize that alcohol isn't the solution. However,
I can't believe this is a video. I can't believe this is a video. So ridiculous. Does alcohol even exist in SpongeBob? Like, I mean, I guess it could. Like, you just would never see it because it's a family show. You know, I know they have the ice cream in the Goofy Goober scene in the movie.
He was actually a small part of the reason for this.
I wonder if SpongeTruth's creators have actually watched SpongeBob properly. It's on pretty good authority that they haven't. So this is literally just like any kind of random someone becomes an alcoholic story, but just like putting SpongeBob images over it so you can put it on your SpongeBob channel. That's literally all this is.
This was the next night he drank again.
My God, who watches this? It's got to be kids, right? This has got to be a kids thing, right? Kids watching something edgy. I bet that's how SpongeTruth gets his views.
But then work became unbearable. The mornings were too bright, the customers too loud. Mr. Krabs.
Wait, why would he still work there? I thought he wasn't getting paid. Wouldn't he just quit at that point?
He had come to know that SpongeBob was drinking.
Oh my God. So that's all this is? Is that all this is? It's just a weird fanfic about like SpongeBob getting drunk. That's all this is. Man, you know, like, could this have been a fun video? I think there could have been a good version of this video, to be honest. I kind of reject the first one we watched in this stream, which was the what if SpongeBob and Sandy had a baby? Like, I kind of reject that as a video concept. I think it's just like there kind of isn't really anything that you can really do with it because the show would really never make it happen. So you wouldn't be able to do much. But like, I don't know, maybe you could have made this like a fun theory or something. Like maybe you could have been like, yeah, in the Goofy Goober scene in the movie, he gets drunk off of ice cream. So we know that ice cream makes him drunk. So like here's some like SpongeBob episodes where like he's actually like just zooted the whole time. I don't know, man. It could have been something better than this fan fiction crap. Wait, I thought Mr. Krabs didn't pay him. Didn't you establish that at the beginning of this fan fiction? That Mr. Krabs said, I'm not paying you? Wouldn't that just solve everything then? Wouldn't Mr. Krabs just then have to pay him? Wouldn't that fix it?
He was fired.
SpongeBob, you're fired!
The words should have hurt. But as SpongeBob stood there, wobbling slightly...
This one's funnier than the Sandy one. I think it's more of like a so bad it's good thing. The Sandy one was just dull, to be honest. Like at least this one is like just past that absurdity.
SpongeBob, Patrick said, voice softer than usual. You don't...
With the text coming in. Voice softer than usual. So fan fiction-y.
SpongeBob let out a bitter laugh. You don't get it, he muttered. None of you do.
It's actually like putting like dialogue, and it's just like the AI voice reading like this dialogue. Like at least, I mean, I don't like when AI like impersonates the characters either, but like at least that would have been something. Like it's just like a weird awkward bedtime story. You don't get it, he muttered with the AI voice.
None of you do. Squidward rolled his eyes. Oh, please.
Bro, this is a character AI chat. Is that what it sounds like? If anyone's ever used that, is that what it sounds like?
Wasn't that easy. SpongeBob didn't want to admit that he needed help.
Bro, you know, this has to be made by AI. Because if a person was making this, I feel like even the person with like the least amount of integrity would like get to this point when they're writing the video and they'd be like, what am I doing with my life? You know, like at least when it's like AI, it's just like you just type it into a thing and it like does the voice. I mean, I guess the editor is sitting there, but the editor's hired, you know, but I think if like you were the person who was making this, you'd have to be like, what am I doing with my life when you get to that point? Are we done with
this time? SpongeBob exactly what Covery wasn't going to be smooth. SpongeBob's hands shook. For months, the Krusty Krab standing up wasn't right. First time ever, he cooked. A Krabby Patty sizzled, the ingredients mixing into perfect harmony of flavor.
All right, whatever. The ingredients mixing, yeah, whatever. So literally like, and you know what else? Like just to give one more point to it, like you say your video is what if SpongeBob was an alcoholic? Okay, already that's like really dumb. But like you don't actually talk about anything to do with addiction either. Like that is also an indication of how low substance this stuff is the video. It just says, okay, so SpongeBob didn't get paid at the Krusty Krab and he felt insecure and he started getting drunk. And then he got fired from the Krusty Krab. And and that's it. And then Squidward and Patrick were like, bro, stop drinking. And then he did. And it's like, well, that's not really what happens when someone's an alcoholic. Like, you have to like go to like rehab, and there are other deeper psychological things at play. Obviously, like the answer to this is like, there's no way to do this as a SpongeBob video. There is no video of what if SpongeBob is an alcoholic, you know, unless you just took some scenes like really overly seriously and were like, yeah, he's drunk because of the Goofy Goober scene. Nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense.